Jim,
you.
yes. Honesdale in the house. I'm not surprised by that connection.
Wait, you got the yearbook out? I got to see what Georgia.
I do have a yearbook downstairs.
I was gonna bring that thing, but I had to get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich first because today's just been insane. So, apologies.
Is that the official meal in Honesdale? The peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
We also have the official haircut and facial hair.
Yes.
Apparently,
Look at that.
It's
he's like the exact. Do you have a mullet in the back?
It's turning into one. It's
Yes,
like a Paul Bunyan.
We have the same hair. It's perfect.
That's awesome. I'm actually at Lake Wallenpaupack today, but we won't disclose that location. So
Okay.
Okay.
not far from the 18431 though, George.
Well, it's funny. Like we had talked. I'd come up around before all this started in February, and I have a new appreciation for my hometown because when you grow up, Tyler grew up in Nazareth. You know, when you grow up in these towns, you just want to get the heck out of there. And you know, after being away for a while, and you come back, you're like, man, this is really nice. I want to take a vacation up here. And I was like, what am I doing?
I'm sure George talked ad nauseum to you, right, Don? Yeah.
I've heard a lot of stories, but they've all ended with him being the king and the. So I want to hear a different side of things. Where is George the legend that he's created?
I did not say that.
One of those dudes in high school, man. He was just like too cool for school, you know.
Ooh, that makes. I could see that. I could see that.
Not even close. So, Jim, you're with formerly of WNEP. Most people probably remember you or know you as a newscaster there.
Right.
Before we get into Pocono Mountains, talk a little bit about being on that. I remember there was one day I was going through WNEP. I'm like, that's Jim Hamill. What's going on? Like it was just again one of those things because we graduated. You graduated a year behind me, I think, but
behind you, yeah.
Like 200 people, So it's weird to see that guy on WNEP. So
yeah,
how have you been in the last 20 years?
Great, buddy. How about you? I mean, let's get started back on 2000. But yeah, I graduated from high school and went off to Syracuse, and of course, as you knew me, James back then, I was strictly James.
Ooh, I want to get into this.
Yeah,
how does a James go to Jim?
I know. And it was hard because then when I was hired by WNEP, they were like, you're going to be Jim because Jim's a news anchor's name. And I was like, but everybody's called me James since the dawn of time.
Wait, was like Steele taken? You couldn't be
I couldn't
be Steele Hamill?
Ron Burgundy or anything like that.
Right.
I had to be Jim Hamill. And it was a little bit of a tough adjustment, but I handled it well. I started answering to Jim. And so for, 13 years or so, with 16, I was Jim Hamill. Wow. And people in Honesdale were just like, you're not Jim. I don't know Jim. I know
that Jim. Is crazy to me.
Well, I even went on the air the first day and they were like, I went on as James. They were like, no, you're Jim.
So, really?
Yeah.
Were they called the Talkback 16 line? They're like, that is not Jim.
Yeah. And even some of the anchors then just started calling me Jim James because it was like,
That's kind of one of the more bizarre things I've heard. Like,
it is a little.
Just change your name on you without.
Yeah, which I get it though because I ended up anchoring the weekend news for 6 years. So the Jim Gardners of Philly and Jim Miklashevsky from NBC. It's just Jim is kind of like that anchor.
Okay. Yeah, we know.
And plus everybody
Jim Friedman, NBC.
Schaefer. Jim Friedman, so like everybody's like,
Hey, do you know Alex Hogan?
Like family. Alex Hogan sounds really familiar.
Yeah, she's big time now. Some Fox News, but we kind of know her. She's a big deal. Nah.
Has George always been a name dropper like that? Because
she was at 69 News down here.
He actually said that. Okay. He actually said that to me before. He's like, do you know? We called you James. He's like, do you know James Hamill? He's like, I know. I went to high school with him. So he's always dropping names, this guy. Nobody ever drops his name. I got to say that.
Yeah, they're like, George Wacker? Like, nope. They're like, yep, that's about right.
I'll start just to make up for lost time.
Okay, cool.
So how was being a newscast, like, because I know a lot of this, and I didn't, but I know your stories covered Honesdale a lot, which was refreshing because I didn't watch the news a ton when I was a kid, but Honesdale didn't get a ton of coverage. Right. And whenever I saw you were doing that, and that was great. So how was your time there? Like, what was your? It was a long time. But.
Yeah, I came in 2006, and shortly thereafter moved to Central PA, covered Williamsport for 5 years. And was it 5 years? Yeah, 5 years. And that time frame, Jerry Sandusky, the whole Penn State thing hit the fan.
Ooh,
I covered that thing from the very beginning to the very bitter end. And then when I moved home, I got the weekend anchor job in May of 13, moved home. And then very shortly thereafter, the manhunt in the Poconos happened with Eric Freen, and everything covered that from the very beginning to the very end. So I had a lot of these big stories, and then in between, there were a lot of great stories to be able to tell, from uplifting stories in our hometown, George. Like cool things happening, the Renaissance that downtown Honesdale's had. But then there was like a lot of news happening in the region too. So being that I lived there, had a lot of connections from having grown up there. My dad was the judge for a while. People knew me prior to being on the news, but then even beyond that, it was just like, hey, here's the hometown reporter guy. For better or for worse, I was reporting on news, across the entire Northeast region of the state.
Hopefully you never had to be critical of the judge. That would have been a tough story.
Really close.
Wait, hold on, George. I have a question. I just have about the weekend. This is something I don't know.
Go.
Maybe I'm naive to this, but is the weekend anchor job in the newsroom the big time job?
Oh, the weekend, totally, man. I mean, people watch this Sunday night 11 o'clock news like you wouldn't believe.
I gotta think. That would be the job I would want the least.
Well,
why? You just work the weekend.
Yeah, I want to be out. I want to be out on the weekends. I want to be,
It was tough when I had I still have younger kids. So that's really what prompted my move away from the news to PR. Gave me the weekends off. But I could say this much. I anchored a lot in shorts and sandals. And people
really? Okay.
Because the bosses didn't care what happened on the weekends below the
I haven't worn pants. I haven't worn pants in like weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, isn't that nice?
Well, that including prior to the quarantine. George just hasn't been wearing pants
earlier than that. So no, I was just saying, it would have been nice to be a citizen of Honesdale and have like the local reporter guy. Did people come up to you and they're like, "You got to do a story on my uncle Billy"? Yeah, I would imagine it'd be like all time or the Cliff.
I'd had to have those canned responses like, "Yeah, I'll see what I can do about that," or
I'll ask my producer.
Email me with more information.
Yeah. They're like, email? What's that?
Right. But it was cool, man. Like a big fish in a small pond. It was interesting. That's for sure.
I love it. Like, I really went up there, and I mean, I know I'm getting like hokey and old dad age now, but it was truly nice to be up, and we planned, we were planning to go up more, and then this all happened. And you talked about you making your change into PR. You're with the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau. What I don't know where you're at. Like, what are you telling? What can you say? I know you're not. I don't know what you're encouraging people to do. I'm going kayaking up in Leaser Lake tomorrow.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. I think that's okay. We're staying socially distanced. So, like, what's going on in the Poconos? At least right now.
So, yeah, of course, things have changed as far as tourism goes, but travel is becoming something that has to. A lot of factors go into it now. So. From the 4-county region, we're having Wayne and Carbon counties, where Jim Thorpe and Honesdale are. They're going to yellow today, which means that retail shops can open. And so we can start to begin the slow transition back to some reality. And then Pike and Monroe counties, hopefully, will be following soon behind, maybe next week. And what we're trying to do, too, from the Visitors Bureau standpoint is, we like to promote all the opportunities throughout the 4 seasons and throughout the 4 counties up here in the Poconos. But right now, it's exceedingly important to band together as a region and also give businesses and organizations the resources that they need to be able to reopen the right way with proper guidelines and procedures. So we developed something called the Pocono Promise, which more than 200 businesses have signed on in the last week or so to host in their facilities so that visitors or even residents in the area and employees know everybody's doing the right thing to maintain public safety, health safety, and et cetera. So
yeah, and I have friends that I have a friend that lives on Wallenpaupack, and I have friends that have some cabins up there, and a lot of people from out of state.
Are you talking about Marco Andretti?
Yeah,
you're a name dropper.
Marco,
you're just a name dropper.
I get mad when we drop Marco's name, but then he's like, "Come on our live show." I'm messing with it because Marco does. He spends some time up there too. So
yeah, for sure. But yeah, a lot of people from out of state come and visit. Is that something that's allowed, or how are you getting the word out to people? out of state. So somebody that doesn't drive from upstate or somewhere 3 hours away comes into Wallenpaupack, and they aren't prepared for some of the guidelines that.
Say even for me, say I'm going to Lake Wallenpaupack to kayak. Should I know anything, or should I do anything different, or?
Right. So today is that yellow phase for half of the lake, because it's Pike and Wayne counties. So the yellow phase means that you can reopen short-term rentals in that socially distant and responsible way, of course. But those things you can certainly find. We have a website, PoconoMountains.com, of course, and then /COVID-19 directs you to a lot of those resources to determine, are the beaches open? Are there restrooms? Today we just opened the restrooms at Lake Wallenpaupack Visitor Center only, not the entire facility, but because, there's going to be enough people out here recreating on the trails, wanting to do things outdoors with nice weather. And, it's the unofficial kickoff to summer, right?
Yeah.
So, we definitely want to be able to be there for people in a resource way and in a very safe manner as well.
So there's excitement, but there's a little bit of like cautious optimism, right? That's what's going on.
Well, I posted earlier, just like, don't, I don't know how to say this, like, don't talk to anybody, I don't know. Like, if somebody doesn't have a mask on, maybe just don't go near them. Or if somebody does have a mask on, don't yell at them because you don't like it. Like, just kind of take it down. Because everybody's, like, we have been yelling at or maybe it's just me. I've been yelling at screens. Probably nobody else. For like a couple months now, and we're gonna go see each other, and it's gonna be weird, There's gonna be a lot of emotion there.
I think that is the case, and we developed also like a weekly program for the Visitors Bureau, as well as the health systems in the Poconos, the education systems, and so we've been kind of trying to hit that mental health portion of things where people need to reacclimate to society to some degree, and also deal with the grief of loss of the normalcy that they're used to. Like,
it's an unspoken part of this whole thing, reacclimating to
really
society.
It's gonna take.
How are you guys gonna make out? Let me ask you, as a former reporter, how are you guys gonna make out going?
We're gonna find out at 5:00 because we're meeting each other with masks on, socially distanced. Because the governor signed in the law for cocktails to go. And so there's so many. Downtown Bethlehem is just it's a festival city. So I'm curious what's going to happen. I'm going down out of my own curiosity to see if it's going to be back.
We just hope that people use, common sense, and they don't, when you get an inch, don't take a foot, or else guess what? Even everybody that was against the governor, he's going to have the ability to just be like, we ruined it. You got to go back inside. And that's what nobody wants. Right.
No, exactly.
It's just like, dude, it's not funny. You know what I mean? Like, let's not make mass jokes, and let's joke about something else. Like,
yeah. I mean, we have one chance to do this right, is what I would say.
That's a great thing.
If we go and we screw the pooch for the entire summer season, which is a huge revenue boost for the tourism industry and just the region as a whole. I mean, you guys are in the Lehigh Valley. That's another big thing. I know that the folks with the Visitors Bureau there do a great job getting people out and doing everything. But if you then have to take a step back to a more stringent phase, all of a sudden that opportunity in the summer months is gone.
Yep.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, man. It's an interesting time to be alive.
Because it's fun. Like on one part, like you see it. Like we posted out the things about cocktails to go, and there's a little bit of like a celebration, I guess, but not really, because the reality is it doesn't really do much. It's going to provide a little bit of relief to some restaurants, but there's still people suffering. Like, who knows? I hope that our counties will maybe follow suit in the next week or so. But I don't know.
Yeah, Lehigh, Northampton. I mean,
it's
one of the bigger important things too. We were just discussing on this conference call prior to this one, is that we want to celebrate this move to yellow with some caution, like you said, Tyler. But at the end of the day, I think that the people who deserve a lot of the credit are you, me, and everybody else who followed the guidelines and the restrictions, and who sacrificed livelihoods and held off from opening their businesses against orders and everything, because that's a lot to sacrifice.
Right.
If we do that for naught, then we're even,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's very true. That's very
Well,
true.
because then there's a part of me that's like, Tyler, should we even go down? Are we making it look like it's stupid? But I think we can do it responsibly. We're not.
Right.
But that's the question you have to ask yourself now. Like, is this, if what I'm doing, is that going to be perceived as bad? Like, we have to think about.
I think you got to approach everything with, am I helping or am I hurting?
Right.
Sure. Okay.
Like if we go down there, or if a business opens up, is this going to help everybody, or could this hurt? And there's always that kind of thing going on, even if there's not a pandemic, right? But when one starts outweighing the other, you got to kind of take.
Don't you feel like this is some like weird movie where they're like, you know what, the simulation sucks. Let's throw in this virus and then make them all question their beliefs.
Have you ever played like Sim
days.
City? Have you ever, or like?
Well, that's what it is, and they're just like, oh, it's been going too good.
Have you ever dealt with a virus in Sim City? It's nearly impossible. It's nearly impossible.
Wait, burn the city
it's
down?
Overwhelming. I used to play Sim City all the time.
Line?
The virus always overwhelmed me. I had to reboot the game every time.
That's the beginning of the movie.
Is you playing that? Have warnings from like tech magnates years ahead of time doing Sim City that were like, hey, watch out, a pandemic's coming, and then we didn't listen.
Yeah, I should have built a hospital. Why did I?
In Sim City, they're having riots in Center City.
Yeah, dude, I love that. I was so bad at Sim City. That's why I respect. Like honestly, that's truly where I get a lot of my respect for public officials. Was on how many times I couldn't build a city. So what I would do is I would start a city that was already a city. And then within minutes, a situation would come up and I wouldn't be able to handle it anytime. Fires would spread.
You wouldn't pay the firefighters and
like,
I should have done that. I wanted the amusement park.
Like I wanted to take away taxes. I guess you needed some. I don't know. I'm going to go back. I'm only 13. What am I doing?
What are those for? Yeah. So what do you, like, if you had to say, say this all goes away, all right? And we're just going to play this game. What would you look most forward to? Not an event, I guess, but like to do in the Poconos. Like, what is your favorite thing? Well, we can all think about that, but.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on for hours.
But we were just I want to get on the lake, man. I got this kayak and I'm just pumped. I want to ride it everywhere. I'm like,
even like the creeks, like we have some really pristine waterways throughout the Poconos, especially where we're from, George. So you've got Lackawaxen River that goes all the way down, feeds right through Lackawaxen where the Zane Grey Museum is, and the Roebling Aqueduct Bridge that flows into the Delaware River. The Delaware is just magnificent. I mean, high quality waterway, lots of trout fishing. A lot of people go up there fly fishing, and that's just a great time. You can go down there on tubes. You can go all the way up to like Damascus, to the bridges up there, like launch in a tube and tube all the way down,
cool.
Several miles, and go over like just some little rapids and
believe it or not, Tyler, I grew up in the woods. Like,
I believe it.
I always tell people I grew up on a dirt road with my mailbox a mile away from my house, and they're like, "What?"
But my buddy Adam Harvey lived up the street from me. They couldn't get cable. I'm like, why not? He's like, the cable company won't run the cable to our house because it's too expensive, so we can't get cable. Like, that's a reality.
It's the same with like internet now too. So the
I'm surprised you guys have it.
Waymart area has like blazing fast fiber. And that's
nice.
And then you can't even get like that kind of stuff in downtown Honesdale sometimes.
That's a bummer. Well, Tyler needs to come to Honesdale because honestly, we were down in Here and Now. We went to Urban Cliff Brewery. We bopped around at some of the shops. I was proud to show my friends around.
Yeah.
At my.
Well, I mean, George, every 4th of July, and I hope. We can do it again. I go in Wallenpaupack every 4th of July. I'm on there's nothing better than being on a boat, getting sun, and there's like cold beer near you.
And then explosion.
Fireworks blasting off from the
fireworks. Yeah. It's one of my favorite days of the year for sure.
And this year we're trying to really focus on, prior to all this, we planned this, but on small towns and like Honesdale, Milford, Jim Thorpe, Stroudsburg. Those are like really cool downtowns with unending amount of retail to shop in, like antique stores, cool little eateries and brew pubs and everything else. So like Honesdale, I just love, being able to walk from one end of town to the other with the family, stop in the parks, kids have a good time, and then we can pop into the brewery and it's just laid back.
Yeah.
You know everybody in town, or at least they treat you like
right. Exactly. And not that, we're not, nobody's against anybody, but big cities, not that you're trying to take away people from big cities, but I think there might be a little bit of a movement to kind of get away from the big cities. I don't know I don't know if I'm moving to New York City, in the next 10 years, right? Unless I have to, but
it's funny. I'm looking.
We're kind of focusing on these small towns and showing them what they have to offer, because people forget there's other things in America in between LA and
we talked to the guy from Tamaqua, and we were looking at the stuff that's going on there. And it is, every place has something to offer. I think we just get so cynical sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's silly. There's a lot of fun things to look forward to. And hopefully we don't take that for granted once we're out of here. I think that's one thing we've said is we got to keep that feeling of not taking things for granted when we're post-COVID.
I think what has to happen is when this is all over, George hosts you for a tour down here.
Oh yeah,
and you host us for a tour.
I'm down.
And then we'll video it, and I don't know what we'll do with it, but we'll go on 2 tours.
I'm
100% in. All right,
I'm in for that. Yep.
All right, cool.
We'll get the kids together, George. They'll have a great time.
Sweet.
Looking forward to it.
I'll babysit. I can babysit. You guys can talk to it.
Easy. Done.
You don't want that. You don't want that.
One of the cooler things in Honesdale, especially throughout these small towns too, is like the art scene.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool stuff.
We want to come up for. I always tell the Wayne County Fair is where I grew up. That's where. Oh my God, you're there every day. I couldn't wait till the fair opened.
That's where your parents met.
Probably. They met at the University of Scranton actually, but that was the best. And they have the one in Central Park. The Honesdale is a Central Park. They have one I haven't been to. Is it like the Wings? Roots and Rhythm Festival. Yeah. I'm going to that.
Yeah, I'm on the board for that, and I MC that and it's a free concert. And you've had I don't know if you know these acts, but like Larkin Poe, that's a sister duo that does some really rocking stuff. We get some really good headliners, and it's all free for people to come downtown with Artist Row and different downtown bands throughout. So it's a really good time every year. And we just postponed that one a little bit.
Did you have Billy Pucci's band? Didn't they come through?
Yeah, so South Bridges came through, man. Yeah.
It's funny, Tyler. This guy that I think he graduated with you around this.
Might have been 2 years behind me, but I graduated with his sister.
He has a crazy, fun bluegrass type band based in Austin, Texas. They were at Music Fest 2 years ago, and I saw him on stage, and I went up to him afterwards. He's like, "Whoa!" And then so it's just interesting that even with these small towns, it's such.
Wait, so are you trying to say that Honesdale High School had a news reporter, a rock star, and a blogger? All in the.
And that's not even on the Wikipedia page. We can't even make it.
Well, what is on the Wikipedia page? Let's remind them, George. Okay, so Honesdale, birthplace of the American Railroad.
American Railroad.
First steam locomotive ever ran on rails was in Honesdale. Then
who drove it?
What's that?
Who
Allen.
I knew that.
I could do trivia on Honesdale.
All right, keep going.
So you've also got Phillip Owen. So Phillip Owen is Honesdale is named after him. He was a mayor in New York City, but he was also the president of the D&H Canal Company, which the D&H Canal transported all the anthracite coal from Northeast PA to New York City, and the terminus was there in Honesdale. And basically it created, the wealthy downtown that Honesdale became with 3 independent banks for at one time. And then basically supplied New York City with all the fuel that it needed to fuel the Industrial Revolution. So that was a pretty big deal. But then on top of that, you had Dick Smith, who wrote Winter Wonderland, while looking out over Central Park, which is the setting for Winter Wonderland, and then Highlights for Children, Goofus and Gallant, the whole thing, headquartered in Honesdale.
We have Goofus and Gallant right here.
Yeah, I was going to say. And I guess on the timber toe.
That's crazy.
Wait, I got one too. Benjamin, one of the president's wives is from Honesdale.
Oh, yeah. And then it's actually one of those signs on one of the side streets says that Abraham Lincoln's nomination started in Honesdale. Like there was a bunch of people who got together and nominated them.
See, this is kind of proving our point. There's all these facts in these.
It's crazy. We didn't even talk about we had a 5-star general, Lemonitzer, who was one of the most influential guys in like World War II.
Do they have like those? I think they're steel signs that will say facts. Yep. I think George, we got to do something where because I've stopped to read. I had them in my hometown, Nazareth, and I never read them growing up. But now. Well,
listen to this. That guy I'm talking about, the general. I don't know if it's still there. When in our high school, he was a 5-star general, big deal. Donated a freaking tiger. It was a tiger he killed. Or somebody killed him.
I don't know where that went to, but it's not in the school.
Well, because it's definitely not a 2020 type thing you can have out. Right. But in the 90s, it was just this stuffed tiger from Africa that this guy shot and brought back and he gave to the high school. And it was just there.
What do you say? You can't say no. It's a 5-star general. Like, thank you. Thank you.
Where should we put this? I can't. When they got it, they're like, "Where do we put this?
Right in the center, right in half court."
That's funny. I wonder where that is.
I would love to find that out. Maybe I'll jump back into reporting a little bit.
You should.
Yeah, investigative.
So how can people get in touch with or find out more about the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau?
So we've got PoconoMountains.com, but then we've also got this pretty cool thing that I'm trying to help facilitate. It's a 24-hour station called Pocono Television Network. Ooh. And so we've got that on Blue Ridge Cable. I think we've got that on Service Electric Cable. And it's streaming online. But we create content all the time now, both during this phase, like letting people know public service information on healthcare practices and like takeout restaurants, like how can you get meals to go, that kind of stuff. But then we also promote a lot of the events and a lot of the properties and businesses and attractions throughout the Pocono Mountains. So you can get that at PoconoMountains.com as well. And then definitely follow social media. Instagram, it's at Pocono Tourism, Facebook, and Twitter as well. So
cool.
We're definitely, especially with all the 3 indoor water parks that came on board, in the last
years. we always drive by them and my daughter's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Don't look at it."
Yeah, right. Like,
we're gonna go there. Just give me some time.
And they're a huge draw. I mean, just to think of how like Camelback. If you remember, Camelback was like a ski resort, right? And then it decided, oh, hey, in the summer, let's have some like outdoor courses so that in the summertime we can still use this property and make money and bring people to the region. And then they were like, oh, well, what if the weather's bad? Well, let's do an indoor water park and a resort. So like they've expanded from an outdoor they've done the water park outdoors too. So both in the wintertime they would have ski resort, and then in summer an outdoor water park, and then an adventure course, and then an indoor water park. So it's really like the full gamut. So you could be here in the worst of weather and the worst of times.
Yeah.
And you could still be having a blast.
That's right.
Yeah. I want to go? Woodlock. You know
Woodlock,
why?
Man, I used to work up at Woodlock.
Because that's why. That's why. Because that's where, like, we already have banquets and stuff, and everybody worked there in high school. So I want to go there. I don't know why. That's weird. I just want to be like where people, so I could be like, there's a Honesdale High School academy.
It's like rated as like #1 best family resort.
Oh, sure. People down here go up there all the time.
Yeah.
It's just funny because when you're a kid, you don't, I'm going to work at a stupid resort. You don't put it in your brain that it's so fancy and nice.
And it employs so many people in the area, gives them a good wage, and like really it's a family-run place. They have that feeling of caring for each other and for their employees too, which you don't really find that many other places around the country. So, yeah.
So all right, hey, it's this has been great. Maybe we do this again.
We're doing the tour. We're doing the double tour. I've thought about it. What I'm going to do is an unbiased. I'll be the unbiased third party. Yeah. George will put a tour together of the Lehigh Valley.
So it's whoever has the best tour.
Whoever shows their respective area.
All right, I can do that.
And I'll be able to judge George's tour of here.
And you're already going to get bonus points because it's me, so I have to work even extra.
Oh, yeah. I'm already on your side, Jim.
I'm already
on your side.
Thanks, man. Now, I got to let you know, too, George shows up in a lot of our promotional materials, too.
I do.
Because he did, like,
I knew.
That does not surprise me at all.
Well, I know, like, Rocky and Julia.
From the brewery, the distillery, I mean, places he would never be found.
Yeah.
Because, Rocky and Julia from Fire Rock were doing something a couple years ago, and Chris Elston too, and they're like, "Hey, will you come up?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, I have nothing to do." And so we ended up in these.
Okay,
funny things.
Jim. Here's a trivia question about George, and let's see if you answer this right. First round at whatever brewery is on me. Okay, we started a nightly show every night called Lehigh Valley with Love After Dark. Now, when we started the show, it's me and 2 other co-hosts. George said, it's your show, you run it, and I'll just
Then I don't run it all.
All right, okay. So he said, I won't be on it at all. I'll just be behind the scenes producing. Okay, there's probably been 25 episodes. How many episodes has George been seen and heard on the program he said he wanted to not be seen or heard on?
Well, I want to say I see him like Facebook messaging about it pretty often, or like commenting on it.
Well, because I'm promoting it for them. I'm helping them out.
How many times has your face been on it? 100% of the episodes, George.
Out of 25, 25.
You know why? Because I give responsibility. I'm like, hey, here's the show, do it. And then they don't do anything, so then I have to do it anyway. And then they're like, why are you mad?
He's lying.
Why are you mad? So they get mad at me because I'm doing their work. No, it's fun. Honestly, I want to expand. We'd love to have you on sometime or something.
Yeah,
this
I like
has
the
been
format, man. It's kind of cool. Like,
well, it's cool too.
Yeah.
It's even cool to think like a place, like places can do this. Like a tourism bureau can be a entertainment source now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's fun. I love it.
And that the Pocono Mountains have a social media. It's like they're mountains, but now they have a social. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Well, only showing the best vistas. All those other poser vistas can just.
All right, hey. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
You, guys.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do this. I appreciate it. It was
good to meet
Tyler.
you.
Sorry, you ended up with this
I know.
What are you gonna do?
But what are you gonna do?
You love me. Now, guys, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Bye.